Here we go. We are live. Coming out to you at the Ambitious Mindz studio here in Lansing, in Cadillac, Michigan. How y'all doing?
I feel like we need a one of those boards where I can hit buttons that make sounds, and so it's just like
Dude, you remember the app you had on your phone for
I still got it.
still got dude, there we go. We're set, man. You know that one song with T-Pain and Chris Brown? Yes.
Still got it.
Yes. That's what we need. That's what we need. What's up, brother? How you doing, man?
Good man, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Living the dream. I'm unstoppable, baby.
Unstoppable. That's what.
Yes,
That's how
sir.
you feeling.
Yes, sir. Always. Always,
Good.
always. What's that one guy? There's that one guy I see he comes up all the time. He said, every time somebody asks me how am I doing, he's like, how many times somebody asked you that a day? He's like, at least 5 to 12, right? He's like, that's fair. That's fair. And yeah. He's like, okay. He's like, so from now on, it's never, oh, good, better than I deserve, living the dream. No, he's like, from now on, every answer you have starts with I am. And I am something. He's like, so I am unstoppable. He's like, that's how I'm doing today. I'm unstoppable. Every time somebody asks him, how you doing? I'm unstoppable.
Like it.
Yep.
I
So,
can vibe with it.
yep, that's where we're at. That's what we're
That's what
doing
we're
out here on a Wednesday, baby.
at.
Unstoppable.
Oh, what's new, man?
Man, not much. Not much. No, doing good though. Trying to take advantage of being slow right now.
Yeah.
It's funny because if we went back to watch the videos from this time last year, I'd probably be saying the same things like, oh,
Yeah.
slow, just trying to take advantage of it. So yeah, just the same stuff as before, just taking advantage of slow time, following up with clients from last year and trying to, at least get some like leads, clientele, people that might be interested in doing something this year. Because even if it's not
Yeah.
right now, then as the year is going on and things are warming up and the market's changing, then I know who I can reach out to. Uh-oh, do not disturb. My bad, folks. Forgive me. What about you, man?
Hey man, it's been busy. Sales are starting to pick up some, so which is nice. Not necessarily where we want to see that, but they're picking up. Um, so yeah, man, it's really just trying to get staff in some of these stores. So I've been doing a lot of coverage here and there. I was telling one of my managers last night. I said, now I see why he like tries to work out in between like working because when you're making smoothies, it's literally like kind of like this, Cupid shuffle that you're doing all the way down the line to
Yeah.
make a smoothie, right? And then eventually, when you got to bend your knees to a squat or something, like you feel like you're in like so much pain. It's absolutely crazy. So I was just like, man, like I need to start doing some squats. I need to start doing something. Because bro, like my stuff gonna get locked up real quick, and I ain't gonna know what to do.
Man, no, you ain't wrong. I gotta get back on it, man. I was doing good for like 2 3 weeks consistently,
Yeah,
and then I don't know, man. Something happened last week, and mentally, I said I'm back in bulking season. You know what I mean? And a dirty bulk too, a bulk with no working out. So it's all right though. You know what? Valentine's Day is over. No better time to hit the reset button
you
than next
said
week.
Valentine's Day is over. I feel it.
Yeah, yep.
I
No,
feel it.
no better time to hit reset button like next week, Monday. Start next Monday
Next
strong,
week, Monday. Okay.
man. Yeah,
So what
yeah.
we talking about today, bro?
So today we are talking about uh shifting your perspective from
Different perspective. All right.
future me, from future you to just right now you,
Yeah.
right now me. So I'll just kind of break it down what I saw the other day, what I told you before we started. But so I came across a video and I just felt convicted, man. I was like, this is so me because I'm so guilty of this. But he's like, so many of us, we have a future us, a future me that we're trying to get to, trying to grow and develop into. And it's influencing our decisions and what we're doing and things like that. But a lot of times we'll chalk things up and we'll just be like, oh, no, that's not for me right now. but maybe a year from now, then I'll do it. That's something future me can worry about, because that's not something that I think I can attain right now.
Yeah.
And he says, I challenge you. He said, there is no more future you. There is no future you. You don't have tomorrow. All you have is today. All you have is the today you. So what are you doing today? Those things that you're putting off, like I'm thinking, I want to do short-term rental investments, right? I want to have some Airbnb properties. That's like a medium length goal for me. Like in the next 5 years, I seriously want to have at least 1 to 2 within the next 5 years. And when I come across a good opportunity right now, I'm like, well, it's not for me right now. Not right now. That's 2, 3 years from now. That's when I can really do it. So it's like, no, there is no more of that. It's like, if I'm going to do it, then I need to start doing things right now. What can I do right now that I'm not doing before that's going to help me get there?
Yeah.
So you know what? I have clients that are investors that are doing the same thing that I'm partnering with, and I'm trying to find them houses. And then in return, I'm like, I'm excited to learn with you guys, because this is something that I've had an interest in as well. So, I'm trying to be a sponge. I'm trying to surround myself with people already doing the same things. I'm putting extra money aside. I'm thinking, financially, how can I legitimately make this work? Not just on hopes and dreams, but how can I actually make this work? You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the way that I kind of view things right now, I want to do a lot of things cash. So that's going to limit, for one, the types of Airbnbs that I want to do.
Right.
Crazy rich, it's not like I can go out there and buy $100,000 home. No
I
big
mean, you
deal.
can. Yeah. I mean.
Right. Well, I can, just not yet.
Exactly. Do it today.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't get that loan today. No.
Right, man. No. So, I'm thinking like, I started doing some research. I was like, there's these people making $7,000 a month with glamping, like tents, bro, for Airbnb. It's crazy. So it's like, okay, there's a market for just the short-term rental industry as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Like, so maybe I don't do full size houses for Airbnb. Maybe I find
You
like
go to Walmart and buy some tents.
Exactly. Set up in the Walmart parking lot. Set up a sign. No, dude, do like the tiny homes, and then I started doing some research. It's like, you can find these cabins, these pre-built cabins for, anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000. Okay, so you have a piece of land, make sure your zoning is right and you can do it. But if your piece of property is desirable location, maybe you've got either like a waterfront, or you're close to, like a touristy area, whatever it may be, you finish off this cabin. It's like, okay, so now you're rocking the tiny home Airbnb stuff.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so that stuff I can start to do like right now.
Yep.
Right. So, man, it's totally a game changer, because when you start to apply it to other things in your life too, it's like, man, like what are some other things that I've been saying, no, I don't want to give that my energy right now, because I just feel like it's not for me right now. But in reality, it could be, and maybe it should be,
Yeah. First of all, these girls behind me are like having the best time ever. They're like super loud. Oh man, but two, thinking about what you just said, what do you think are some of the factors that hold people back? Because I think a lot of people might feel like they have a legitimate reason why it's not for them right now, right? Instead of moving forward, I think a lot of times we look for a moment rather than going through a process, because the process seems so much longer versus just waiting for the right moment. What other things do you feel like stop people from doing the now or moving towards it now versus saying that this is for the future me?
Oh yeah, fear, limiting beliefs. The fear of not being knowledgeable, maybe, and to the point that they're comfortable in that thing. But to that, like, I think you got to go back to the video, the power of starting, because just like us starting this podcast, man, it's like you and I had no idea how to do a podcast. We did not know the equipment we needed. We did not know how, like what. So what do we just started. You just do it. You just get started. You put one foot in front of the other. You create some action, and as you open doors, more doors appear. It's like, that's just, I don't know, like if it's something that you're truly, passionate about, and it's truly something that you feel aligns with you and that you want to do, and your limiting belief is just it's not your time right now, you really ask yourself why. And is it not my time right now, or is it I'm just not giving it the energy right now because I don't feel like I'm going to have the results that I desire as soon as I would like.
Yeah,
Because there's a big difference.
yeah. I'll tell you right now, like one of my biggest struggles is uh, the finding time, right? Because perfectly, in the perfect world, what I want in my mind is I want to be able to, um, I want to be able to be like, okay, cool, I'm off of work this day, right? So I'm gonna have this time to plan out, X, Y, and Z, and maybe there's a possibility that that can happen, but there's a lot of times where it's like you just have to do small pieces, right? Like I said, I think that's the issue that I get myself messed up in is I'm looking for these long periods of time or these long periods of times or these long moments that I can dedicate to this. And right now, that's just not how my life is set up. Now there are opportunities from time to time, but then soon those opportunities comes, what happens? I'm like, oh, there's something on Prime Video, Netflix, or whatever. I haven't watched TV in a while. Okay, you don't need watch TV. It's not going to help,
Mhm.
right? And I know how many people say that, right? But then how many of us, still like to watch our shows from time to time? And I don't think there's anything wrong with it, but when you have something on the line, or when you have something that you do want to complete, right? I think going through that process of what's more important, why do I really want this? What's the difference that it's going to make in my life, right? You start going through that process, and you start doing the small things. I know that's one excuse I give myself all the time, man. Like I said, working out, right? For some reason, I want this, even if I'm not going to spend the whole hour at the gym. I want this hour block of time that could just be dedicated just to the gym. And it's like it might not be that way. Maybe like um, maybe like prime example, I'm going to Mount Pleasant Day. So maybe, on my way to Mount Pleasant, all right, cool. I stop at the local Planet Fitness, do a few reps or something, and that's it.
Yeah.
Right? Now, is it the best workout in the world? Absolutely not. But is it better than no workout? Absolutely yes.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's just that process of thinking, man, of creating time. And if you can't create time, make time. And if you
Yep.
can't make time, take time.
True. Okay. So here's one thing I'm curious to your input on.
Yeah.
What happens? What do you do when your 9 to 5, when your daily job, your uh the job that you're reliant upon, right, is interfering with the things that you truly want to be doing? Like at what point in time are you like, what? Although I need to provide for whether it's myself or my family or whatever, uh, maybe it is time for me to look elsewhere with a job that has more flexibility that's allowing me to do what I want to do. Like where's that line? Where's that point of like I'm living life making somebody else's dreams come true and I'm prioritizing that over making my own come true?
Yeah, I think one, you do have to get to a point where you're just tired of being tired. Like at this point, like I absolutely, if this doesn't change, it'll never change, right? Because I think about a lot of people in jobs, and I've been in this before too. You end up sticking with something because you get used to it and you get familiar with it, and leaving that to get something else, even though flexibility sounds nice, the fact that there's also a process of learning a new job potentially,
Mhm.
right? So there's some fear that's in there with that, but I think that's one point. You just have to be tired of being tired and really want to have this. Um, but then I think the second part is having to prepare yourself, because what I've noticed, I might not be 100% correct on this, but a lot of times when you have a lot more flexibility, that also comes with less pay sometimes, right? Because you don't have to work as much. You don't have to do, X, Y, and Z. So you have more time to do your stuff, right? And so now it's okay. If I'm gonna do that, this is the process that you need to think through. Of what is this going to look like? I'm going to have more flexibility. What is this going to look like? Because so often, what happens, we make adjustments in our lives, right? And we fill it with something else.
True.
right? We fill it with something else where the intention was to fill it with things that we actually wanted to do, right? But then you're like, oh shoot, well, I probably should do this. Well, then I should do this. Then I should do this, and then it's like, okay, all you did was fill it,
Hmm.
right? It's just like, if you know anybody that's ever had an addiction, what typically happens is they replace that addiction, right, with another addiction.
Yep.
Now sometimes it might be healthier, right? So if you had a food addiction, you replace it with going to the gym. Okay, that works out in your benefit. You know what I'm saying? But a lot of times, people replace it with another addiction that still is not pushing them closer to where they want to get. So
Right.
really having a plan, knowing that it won't be perfect, but having a plan, and once you make that move, intentionally following through on that plan. So I think that's the two things, right? So being tired of being sick and tired, right? You really want that change, but then as you are making that transition potentially, have a plan. Have a plan of what you want it to look like. What will it look like? Because David Shands, a guy that his brand is Sleepers for Suckers, an amazing podcast out there as well. I think it's called Social Proof Podcast. Really cool podcast. But he talks about this all the time. Like, don't quit your 9 to 5. Don't make these adjustments because you're like, oh, I'm gonna have more free time. If you're not intentionally trying to make some time right now, you having more free time, you're not gonna do more with it,
True.
right? So maybe that's even a step before that. So get started,
Yep.
get tired of being sick and tired, and then make sure you have as close as you can to a bulletproof plan of how you're going to execute your free time.
Definitely. I agree. So I think then you start to looking at like self-discipline and getting to a point where you need more time. Like you don't have any more time that you can utilize because of other factors. And then it's like, okay, looking at is now the right time to make that change. So like there's different things that need to come before you just up and do that. Right. So no, I agree. I agree. So like what's something that you feel like maybe this spoke to you on a certain thing, like what's something that you need to stop at chalking up to future eras that you think that maybe you can make an adjustment and start doing some things for it.
Oh man, the biggest thing that I can do right now is build out a better routine. Build out a better routine. Me and Cam's schedules are kind of off. She's working, but also at home with Emory, and I am. My schedule isn't consistent, right? So sometimes it is like cool, a 9 to 4, a 9 to 5 day. There's other days where left the house at 8, didn't get back home to 10:30, right? So p.m. because I was about to say that sound like 2.5 hours. 10:30 p.m. So it's very hit and miss. But what I do need to do though is typically for the most part my days typically start around the same time for the most part, right? So that part knowing that okay, now I need to get up earlier. I say it. I have not been doing it. Okay. This past week, I have been getting up between 6:30 to 7:30. But then even during that time, it's like literally pacing back and forth, wondering why am I up so early instead of actually doing something. And need to take care of need to take care of certain things during that time, whether that is creating content, whether that is spending time in my word, whatever the case may be, like that's where right now I feel like is my sweet spot is I need to figure out what my sweet spot is and actually be intentional with it. My word for this year has been intentional, and I can be very transparent. I have not been intentional as I should have been this year. Now, good part is we're in February, right? Um, the mindset that I need to have though is not that I have 10 months left, but that I have tomorrow that I need to get together ASAP, right? So I think that's one of my biggest opportunities, man, and really starting to put myself out there, try to do some marketing, get back to late night thoughts with ET, and really make a push and make an effort. And work is going to be work, right? I have my set things for work. Work is going to be work, but I have to. Sometimes I'm gonna have to take time. gonna have to take time and make things happen. But I think that's one of the biggest things for me is, I don't want to be working for somebody for forever,
Mm-hmm.
right? And being in the leadership realm is not the easiest thing in the world because the service and the good that you're offering isn't something physical, even though it can be life changing. It's not something physical. And so, how much more intentional, how much more effort and talent do you need to put into that
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that people are bought into what you're offering, right?
Definitely.
Um, so I don't have to make a T-shirt for everything that I say in order to try to make some extra cash on the side. Now I'm down for
Yeah,
it.
I'll buy the t-shirt.
You know what I mean? So yeah, man. So that's what I would say for me right now. What about you?
Building a house. Yeah, building a house.
You want to build one from the ground up?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So
You actually want to do it?
no, not myself.
Okay. All right.
No, like I'll do some of the stuff like more on like the inside, but like when it
Yeah.
comes to the exterior work and uh foundation and all that kind of stuff, man, no.
I
Like
didn't know if you was about to put a little house on the prairie.
no, man, maybe someday, but not right now. No, that's way over my head. I don't have the time nor willing to give the time to something like that.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, when it comes to like the inside work and maybe some of the finishing stuff, that's cool. Like I enjoy that stuff, but nothing more than that. But the house that I bought, um, what year is it? It's 2022. When did I buy that house? 2019. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
2019.
2019. So, that was supposed to be a short-term house anyway, and my basement remodel is almost done, just wrapping up some painting, should be done this week. So, I've got some sweat equity put into it, and the market is still, been high. So, taking the equity out of that home, because I am thinking I'll probably end up selling it instead of keeping it as a rental, and take those proceeds, take that profit, and the equity that I have into it and roll it into the next one. And, if we're able to get a nice piece of land somewhere and it's quiet, do like a barn dominium style, home, like, man, that's the dream. That's what we'd really like to do. So it's not far away. And it's things
Yeah.
that have to start to be considered now. And,
Yeah.
in reality, end of this year, we could be listing this house and getting things prepped for the next one. So, it's recent. So, but I have to stop thinking like, oh, that's down the road, because really it's not, and it's something I have to start to think about now. And like, how much do I need to have saved up? If for a construction loan, traditionally you need 20% down, what's the cost of the build? What plans are we going to use? It's like all these things start to come up. Who's going to be our builder? Yeah, and like what's their availability to look like, is it even possible for next year, so like lots of questions. And those are things we have to start to explore now. So it's exciting, don't get me wrong, like it's hype because I know it's going to be a house that we're at for majority of our lives.
Yeah.
And that's exciting, but also getting there is a little bit daunting, so here we go.
Sure. A couple questions. One, can you charge for sweat equity?
I wish. Hey, I'm gonna sell you this house, and I worked approximately, 80 hours,
Yo,
so
man.
I would like some compensation.
That's all. That's all I'm saying. Like you
Uh,
take care of the closing costs. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Like I didn't put my heart, sweat, tears, blood,
So
all of that into that.
you ain't
Um,
lying. You ain't lying.
but then two, quick question for you. Do you think sometimes um, getting started, moving towards the future you, sometimes it's hard because we both mentioned having a process, right? And getting to your dream, future goals, and everything. There's always a process.
Mhm.
Do you think sometimes one thing that holds people back is because it's not a standardized process? And what I mean by that is you talk about school, right? Your goal is to graduate from college, right? And get this job. Okay. There's for the most part, there's a pretty clear roadmap of how to get there. You take such class, you meet with this such professor, X, Y, and Z. Now, is always guaranteed at the end? No, but for the most part, there is a set process for that track, right?
Right.
doing some of the things that we do or that we want to do, there is no set process,
Mhm.
right? Not a standardized one, right? There could be a lot of processes that people follow that are very congruent and very, similar, but there's not a standardized process. And
Right.
so do you think that sometimes that hinders people because I want to get there, not 100% sure how I want to get there. So then I'm like, shoot, well, how long is this process really?
Mhm.
I'll hold off.
Yeah, I definitely think so because it's just everybody's situation is so different, and there's some things that do have time restraints that you have to wait on. Like a specific example that comes to mind for me is I couldn't leave our current job or our past job, I mean, until I had my loan done and everything was through with purchasing a home. Because once you lose your set of income, you lose your mortgage, because you have to show that you have consistent income. So I was taking a risk because I had to wait for closing on the home before I could really put in my notice to leave my current job because the creditor, the processing team for the mortgages and stuff, they're checking those things the day before closing. So you have to wait until the very end. So hands were kind of tied. I had to wait, so I wasn't able to start things maybe as soon as I'd like to or when I wanted to. Um, but I was putting things in place. And that plan, though, was my process of starting, so in my head, I had that roadmap. And maybe that's what I was looking at. It's a roadmap, right? Um, I knew I wanted to buy a house and I had to use my income at the time to get pre-approved to buy the house. And then afterwards, then I was going to be doing a career change in a new location. But one thing had to go before the other type of thing. So um, yeah, man, it does make it hard. But I think as long as you're building that roadmap out and you're doing things today to make that roadmap that you're on where you're at on that roadmap happen, that's the whole point. That's the whole point.
Okay, so you said roadmap. Okay,
Mhm.
it's a roadmap. The process. Where does somebody start with that? As in, how do you get started with a roadmap?
Vision,
Okay,
vision,
okay,
vision, always vision. You have to have vision before you have direction, right? So start with vision. You're the only one that knows too, right? So you can't go to, your neighbor and be like, hey, what's my roadmap? Like, no, like you're the only one. So you're the one you got to figure out what do you want this to look like, right? What's ideal to you? You establish that, and then you start building the roadmap around that. Okay, so this is my vision, this is my end goal, and I'll start breaking it down. What different pieces do I need? What checkpoints do I come up with that need to happen, on my way there? So you start building out that roadmap. But I would start from the top down, start from the end goal, and then work your way down, into where you're currently at, in my opinion.
no, I love that, and I think you're right on point. The follow up question I was going to have to, and I think this will be a great topic for the future, or even for a guest to speak to, is how clear does a vision need to be, right? Because I think, you know, as I think through the process of getting started, if I think through the process of what do things look like, I think that's where the vision part and the process part becomes very unclear for a lot of people. Is, you know, a vision does not mean that you 100% have to know what it looks like. Right now, some people get into it. Right, you need to see what it looks like, what it smells like, what it tastes like, whatever. And it's just like, yes, to a certain extent, right? But I think so much time ends up being wasted and not getting started because you're trying to have this perfect vision,
Mhm.
right? Of, I want a company that never loses money. I want a company that, what I'm saying. You just have this. What is that? It's not Donald Duck, but what's the duck that's like sending the coins or whatnot? Um,
Oh, oh,
I
I know what you're
forget his
talking
name.
about.
Yeah, but what I'm saying, like people like that would end up being the vision for
Mhm.
some people where it's like, okay, that's the end result of maybe what you've done to get that, right? But if that's the vision, it's like is it clear enough? So one, because I think about this even for myself sometimes. Am I not getting started because my vision isn't clear enough? Right? Is it I want to speak about leadership all over the world, but what does that look like realistically? Right? What does that look like to even get started? What are the first steps, and keeping in mind that the vision that you have does not mean that's the next step,
Right.
right? And so that's why I was asking about the roadmap thing, and I love that you said it. So it does start with the vision. But then I think we may need to even spend the episode on this, and I'm not an expert at this by any means, but how do you start to build out that roadmap? Okay, cool, I got the vision, right? It's the next thing you do is hop on Google,
Yeah.
right? Or
Right.
do you automatically start looking for a mentor? Like, and once again, there's no right or wrong way.
Right.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of where that question came from.
No, that because I think it's all of the above, right? I mean, I think it's depending on the person, but it's all of the above because you have people that become so paralyzed by, is this the right choice? Is this really my vision? Is my vision clear? It's like if you're still hung up on that, then you're going about it the wrong way. Then you have to reassess and make sure that that's really what it is that you want to be doing because it's not about how you get there. It's about what do you want the end results to be. So, for example, like let's use you hypothetically. Okay, so
Yep.
the end goal, the vision is to be self-employed, producing leadership content, content creator, business consultant, right? So, this umbrella of just influence and building your own personal brand, that's the vision, right? So it's not that the vision has to be so specific as to what each one of those looks like. My income is going to be this and this from this portion of it, right? That's my vision. No, like you just have to know what you want to do, and then you start taking action steps towards building that.
Yeah.
It's like that vision is going to become more clear as you get closer to the end of that roadmap. It's kind of like when in like a video game, right? When you're traveling and you have like the fog or whatever and you can't see it until you get close
Yeah.
enough and it starts to unveil more and more and you can see more clearly. It's the same thing, man. It's the same exact thing. It's just you have to be moving forward to see it though. You know what I'm saying? It's like you take anybody that's starting a new venture, they're not sitting there hung up on, all of the specifics of it, because if they do, they're paralyzed, man. They're sitting there and that's all they're doing. So,
Yeah.
man, I think it's in I'm biased because I'm
Yeah.
very much so a general person. Like I'm not specific in many things. I'm very general and I know that. But it's also I'm able to leverage that to my advantage because I don't care. I'm not hung up on the small things. When it gets there, I'll deal with it. But I know what I want this to look like. So that's what I'm doing. And I've noticed with some people that tend to be on the more specific side, hey, they might not make as many mistakes, and maybe their timeline looks different, and that's fine because everybody's journey is their own.
Yep.
um, but I also see a lot of those same people become paralyzed and just decide not to move and give up on those dreams because it's too much. And those are the type of people that need somebody that's general in their lives to help balance them out a little bit and maybe give them that nudge. So there's a lot of aspects to it, man. But I don't know. I think it's a great thing. It's something I actually get really passionate about because I just see so many people that have these hopes and dreams and things that they want to do, and then they just don't do it. And it's
Yep.
like that was one of the things I was most excited about this podcast for, is like to reach people that are maybe in that mindset or in that time of their lives and just be like the extra push that they need. Just be like, you know what? I'm tired of it. I'm tired of being tired, right? Now's the time. I just got to do it. I gotta put my, one foot in front of the other and just start moving. And that's all you got to do, man. It's so serious that we overcomplicate it. It doesn't have to be that serious, man. You just got to
Yeah.
start.
No, for sure. I love it. I love it. So let's as we wrap up today. Um, one thing it made me think of, there was this quote, or I forgot who said it, but they said, "Do you know where the most potential is?" And they said the most potential is in a graveyard. They
Mm,
said because so many people die with their hopes and dreams and
man.
the things that they could have done, right?
Yeah.
Um, So yeah, so all today that's one thing that made me think of. But as we wrap up today, man, what's something practical we can give people today? Something that because I want to make sure that as we continue to build out this podcast, that even though we're going to offer great conversation, hopefully it sparks other conversations and things like that. If we can, I definitely want to offer something practical. But from your opinion, what would be something practical somebody can do today that's going to help the present them for the future them?
Clarify that vision. If you're just at those beginning steps and you're like, yeah, I want more out of life, I'm not happy where I'm at, but I want to look differently. Don't just sit in that. Don't just accept that. Because a lot of times you say that, you determine that you need change, but then you don't do anything. It's paralyzing, man. And it's like, okay, if you're at that point, then you need to take some serious time, because you know what, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to those around you to better serve yourself and those around you, right? So take your time, determine that vision, lay it out. And like I said before, it doesn't have to be specific, but at least figure out, okay, these are some things that I'm going to have to change, because that's the only way you're going to change anything in life is some things have to change, right? So yeah, man, I would just start there, determine that vision, and then reach out to us. Let's talk about that roadmap. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's have some conversation. Like, hey, this is what I want to do. I don't know where to start. Cool. That's where the fun part starts, man. That's where the
Yeah.
Googling comes in. That's where the mentoringship comes in. That's where, doing your own research, and getting excited. And yeah, dude. So that's what I would say. Determine that vision.
All right, cool. I'm gonna add to it. I'm gonna say one. Just remember, this isn't Neverland. We all grow up. We all get old. So move now.
Yeah.
But then two, I think right along the lines that you were saying is create that vision, make a clearer vision. As you make that vision, keep in mind your why. Keep in mind your why, because if your why is not strong enough, you will quit, no matter how clear the vision is, right? Whether it's, say even it's as simple as you want to open up your own gym one day. Okay. If it's just you want to open up your own gym one day because you feel like running a gym is easy, and you can make a lot of money off of it, that's not a strong enough why, right? If it's because you want to see people absolutely transform their lives, right? That's something that you want to put down under that vision.
Yep.
Because when the road does get tough, even though the roadmap might be clear, there's going to be tough times. There's going to be hiccups, right? That's just part of normal life. Um, is your why strong enough to allow you to keep pushing, right?
Absolutely.
So I agree with you 100%. I think you do that. You start off with creating a vision, and then right under that vision, why? Why is this my vision? Why do I actually want to do this? Whether it's starting your own business or being involved in somebody else's business, or whether it's just a personal goal of losing weight, being a better father, being a better mother, being a better sibling, whatever the case may be. Write that vision, make it plain, make it simple, and then write your why under it.
Let's go.
Let's go.
I know.
Hey, y'all, thank y'all so much for joining us today, man. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, but please reach out. I don't know where to subscribe or the like buttons are, but subscribe, like, do it all, man. And, I want to leave you guys with this. Be present. All right. One of my favorite spoken words by Propaganda, and it's called "Be Present." I want us to include that below. If we can attach that B, I think that'd be great. But he talks about time, and he said time. He refers to time as a her. He says her presence is God's present, so you should be that present.
Mm.
All right, y'all. Have a great day, y'all. Peace, love. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Adios.